prosecutors right now are offering a redacted version of special counsel Jack Smith's filing. That had to be made public today. It was in this newly unsealed court paper. We're learning that former President Trump resorted to crimes in a bid to cling to power after the 2020 election. We don't know much more than that. A lot of this stuff was going to be coming out anyway.
Former President Trump resorted to crimes to cling to power. We've allowed him to normalize this defiance of the law so much, we don't fully recognize the severity of that revelation.
Something else to read from this filing with someone who's anonymized here, Harry, talking about how while tabulating votes on November 4th, P5, Person 5, a campaign employee, agent, and co-conspirator of the defendant tried to sow confusion when the ongoing vote count at the TFC Center in Detroit, Michigan looked unfavorable for the defendant, Donald Trump. There, when a colleague at the TCF Center told Person 5, quote, "We think a batch of votes heavily in Biden's favor is right," Person 5 responded, "Find a reason it isn't. Give me options to file litigation, even if it is." When the colleague suggested that there was about to be unrest reminiscent of the Brooks Brothers riot, a violent effort to stop the vote count in Florida after the 2000 presidential election, Person 5 responded, "Make them riot and do it." What do you think about these kinds of details and what this is going to mean in this case?
Find a way to dismiss batches of reputable votes for Biden and give me options to file litigation, even if it is. And when given the scenario of a potential riot forming, the plan was to make them riot. By the way, none of this is surprising to people that have been paying attention.
Trump filed a very strident brief yesterday telling the court, please don't release any of this. It will harm me in the election. And Chutkan, without hearing anything further, went ahead and did it. And you have 90 pages here of chapter and verse. But the big point here is they've laid their case, their cards on the table, laid them bare, and will be mining it for weeks. And it's all going to be a problem for Trump, who tried hard to keep it from going forward. They give their theory, starting on page 90, for why Mike Pence should be admissible, even though the Supreme Court mentioned the possible immunity there. They say the assumption of immunity is rebutted because Pence is basically acting as a as a president of the Senate, a legislative role, and the executive branch or the president has no role saying who should open votes and who shouldn't.
Notice that throughout this entire process, the former president's attorneys and he himself have relied on immunity from these crimes rather than disputing the accusations that are full of clear evidence. It's why the prosecutor had to resubmit these charges, showing that Trump acted outside of his role as president to undermine the election. And it's also why Trump's camp is highly focused on policing people calling his fascist actions fascist.
We've all heard about Trump derangement syndrome. We've seen what they've lied about to my family. I was an agent of Russia, but Hunter Biden's laptop was totally Russian disinformation. Turns out the opposite was true. The media did that. They created so much of that environment. The media has radicalized the people that are trying to kill my father.
Can I say, you can't blame, and everyone wants your dad to be safe. No one wants the threats against his life to happen, but you can't blame the media for those threats. There's been no evidence that's what drove those.
And allows people to have a platform to call someone literally Hitler every day for 9 years, it creates it. Okay. Whether you want to believe it or not, that's a fact.
But as you know, J.D. Vance once likened your dad to Hitler as well. He questioned if he was America's Hitler. But I want to talk about the debate.
Yeah, it's about time they retire that line about people calling Trump Hitler. Because not only did Vance call him America's Hitler, but he said all of this other accurate stuff.
I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him. It makes you think that at a fundamental level, this is sort of a he said, she said, right? And at the end of the day, do you believe Donald Trump, who always tells the truth? Just kidding. Or do you believe that woman on that tape?
I cannot stand Trump because I think he's a fraud. Well, I think he's a total fraud that is exploiting these people, who is a total fraud.
Like you said, I agree with you on Trump because I don't think that he's the person. I don't think he actually cares about folks.
There is definitely an element of Donald Trump support that has its basis in racism or xenophobia. I think there's a chance, if I feel like Trump has a really good chance of winning, that I might have to hold my nose and vote for Hillary Clinton. I think that I'm going to vote third party because I can't stomach Trump. I think that he's noxious and is leading the white working class to a very dark place.
I'd just like to know why, according to that empty talking point that Junior was pushing, why JD was encouraging assassination attempts that threatened Trump's life. So, okay, let's keep it real. He's shown himself to be someone that's willing to completely abandon his beliefs to progress his own political career. He'll say he changed his mind about Donald Trump's time in office, despite the obvious messages that he sent in the final year of Trump's presidency, showing that he felt that Trump thoroughly failed to deliver on his economic populism.
I spoke with some elected officials or election officials last week about their concern about people who are trying to undermine our elections. Why didn't you answer the question last night during the debate about who won the 2020 presidential election?
Well, look, here's the simple reason. The media is obsessed with talking about the election of 4 years ago. I'm focused on the election of 33 days from now.
When are people going to stop allowing these guys to present these completely and obviously false illustrations of our reality? Everyone, literally everyone, knows that Donald Trump hasn't stopped talking about how the election was stolen from him. Fox News had to pay hundreds of millions of dollars to the voting machine company that were part of those lies that they ran with nonstop. You know, there's a 90% chance that Donald Trump complained about a stolen election the same day that Vance was blaming the fact that we're still talking about it on the media. And since we refuse to shut that down, it's encouraged him to lie about nearly everything he says with absolutely zero conscience.
He lied the entire night. He lied about American energy production, which is up. He said it's down. He lied about health care. He said Donald Trump saved Obamacare. You have to be literally
I was on Capitol
track.
Hill. He
I want
didn't.
to talk about that when you're done.
He lied about the insurrection. He said we had a peaceful transfer of power. He lied. He said he never supported a national abortion ban. Donald Trump is the gaslighter in chief, and this is his loyal lieutenant who came out here to try to polish up the crazy. And I think Americans need to be very, very careful. This is a very, very deceptive guy.
Those that believe Vance won the vice presidential debate where he lied about all that and more either don't include blatant lies in their assessment of success or they just don't know the facts. We're arguing over reality. It's why the new revelations in Jack Smith's filing against Trump showed their plan include sowing confusion. It should offend the people that trust him as much as it offended people that are abandoning him.
All 7 of you came in undecided. One of you said they've made up their mind. Ryan, who are you going to vote for, and what kind of solidified that opinion?
Well, I'm going to be voting for Kamala Harris. You know, one of the stark sort of aspects of that debate that really stuck with me was when they were talking about January 6th and how Mike Pence certified the election, and they were wondering if J.D. Vance would certify the election should Trump lose. And, you know, J.D. Vance didn't really give us a definitive answer, and I'm disappointed in that fact. And I don't think that I can trust someone, you know, with my vote if they're not going to respect it.
The one thing that stuck out to me was Vance's refusal to say whether or not Trump lost the 2020 election.